Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Jets Radio. This is one of your hosts, Tyson Roush. You can follow this show at Talk Jets Radio, Instagram and Twitter. Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. We appreciate this. We're doing a bunch of changes, trying software. Shit's breaking down every week, but we're trying our best. So we appreciate everybody sticking there, hanging in with us. Let me bring on Mr. Primetime. Primetime, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ty? Another week closer.
Dude, and we have good audio now. Now this software can just last for more than an hour. We'll be all right.
See, I'm a freaking idiot. The headset that I normally use for Zoom, which gives good audio, I could just plug right into my phone, and I never knew that, and I've had that for months. So.
Well, dude, I've had a microphone for 2 years. I never used it. So look, I'm the same dumbass too. So, Primetime, we've been doing a lot of videos, but the video last week that I cranked out was, Adam Gase and Greg Williams. All these guys met the media finally. And to be honest with you, I had to give Adam Gase and the Jets credit because I love the way they handled the media towards this whole Jamal Adams situation. Where in the past, I think Adams could have said, you know what, I'm not going to answer any personnel questions. Defer to Joe Douglas. He could have been standoffish and kind of did really, just been like a prick about things.
Yeah.
And dude, he said all the right things, dude. He was like, I love Jamal. He's flexible. He's versatile. I want him back. Like, they put the pressure directly straight back on Jamal. And I think they played it perfectly, dude, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't think Adam Gase said anything wrong. But at the same time, I don't know if you listened to Dan Orlovsky on ESPN Radio. I mentioned this in the video I did on YouTube yesterday. But he was kind of mentioning how he wished that Adam Gase was like a little bit more vocal as like a fan of Jamal and like how important he is to the team, almost like how Greg Williams talked. Like Greg Williams, I felt like he had Jamal's back a little bit more than Gase did. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I don't think Gase said anything wrong. It's a growth step in the sense that he didn't antagonize the situation. He didn't say, oh, well, he's under contract. We expect him to be there. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully this is him learning that he can't, constantly pick fights with his star players and always get his way and, understand that he has to, find middle ground here.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really good articles written. I mean, like the Manish started the firestorm, which, a lot of the, accusations behind the scenes, which I may or may not believe, but Rich Samini wrote some really good things. But the thing is, the Jets now have a united front where they're all kind of have the same communication where, listen, we love Jamal, we want him back, we understand it's a business and everything else, but this is what we want. And now the pressure's back on Jamal, and he's still acting like a jackass, posting things as of even like an hour ago, kind of antagonizing things and whatever else. But, dude, to me, to be honest with you, go ahead. No, again.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if, let's say, Jamal and his camp, they're correct that the Jets, haven't communicated at all and they've handled this thing poorly like we've said they have for the past couple of months. If that's the case, then, is Jamal wrong for, doing what he's doing now? And are, the Jets right to, just kind of sit back and, like, kind of play, oh, well, we're innocent. We expect Jamal to be here. He's a great part of this team. Like all the stuff that they're saying now, like, they're playing like they didn't do anything wrong. I'm wondering if they didn't, antagonize the situation knowing that Jamal would eventually get to this point and then they could make him look bad. I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Again, like we keep talking about, that actually pushed him to this point.
Yep. I mean, me personally, I've been saying it, like, Joe Douglas should have been in Dallas the day after all this happened. Said, listen, whatever happened, but we need to get on the same page here. That clearly didn't happen as far as we know. Listen, I don't think that the Jets are innocent by no means. I mean, every article, and like people always want to reference Manish, but Rich Samini said it. Other people have said it too, was the Jets promised a certain level of negotiation, and that hasn't happened. They
exactly.
And they even said, like, even though the pandemic happened, there's other ways you can handle business, and they didn't do that either. So that's not us being Jets haters. That's not us being bashers. That's just fact.
No, and that was something that Samini mentioned in his article also. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Jets aren't innocent here by no
regardless,
means.
Regardless of coronavirus, that they still didn't have intentions of signing Jamal this offseason. So again, for them to kind of play in the media like they were going to address it, I can understand why Jamal's pissed. But at the same time, every single day it's just something new between the Belichick and earlier today, I think he liked something also that was kind of, ripping the team for being, at least another year away. So, yeah, exactly. So, he's by no means innocent or handling this the right way. And that's a shame because he's lost so much support. The image that he built up, he could have kept that and had everybody on his side and made the Jets look terrible in this situation. But, now it's just kind of a situation where, like I said last week, nobody's really winning.
And that the funny thing is the way the Jets are playing this, and the story is slowly coming out how they didn't really own up to the negotiations. If Jamal plays cards right, he could make them look ridiculous right now. But dude, all I want to do is talk contract. They're not getting back to me. I can't believe it. And with as much support as he had going into the offseason, if he plays cards right, we'd all be pissed at the Jets right now. Be like, oh, this friggin' team, this organization, they did, he completely blew it, dude. He played this completely wrong. He's still playing it wrong by antagonizing fans, doing things. But I'm going to tell you this. The more I think about it and the more I read and I figure things out, I don't think he's going anywhere, dude. I don't think the Jets are going to trade him. I think they're going to call his bluff and he's going to have to come to camp. I don't think they're going to get the value they want.
Well,
I don't think teams want to deal with him and his contract saga and all this nonsense. I think he's going to be a Jet, dude. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Well, I don't know if they're going to be able to trade him because it's already known that they turned down a first and a third. So at this moment right now, like you mentioned last week, a lot of teams already have their needs filled. At this moment right now, is there any team that's going to trade more than a first and a third? And even if there is a team willing to do that, it's probably a team that's going to compete. So that first-round pick, it's not going to be, the Cowboys' 17th pick. It's going to be much later in the first round. So you might be expecting more than a first and a third. So, in order for Joe Douglas to, in the eyes of the media and the fan base, win this situation, he has to get more than a first and a third if they're actually going to entertain the idea of trading Jamal.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just think the Jets are going to hold strong and be like, listen, I don't think, if you're a team and all things are going on, why would you give the Jets max value? You're not going to. And like I said, dude, most teams already have their rosters set now going into, end of July, all this, you kind of already have all your pieces in place. So I don't think teams are going to say, we're going to give up 2 first-round picks, another play. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think Joe Douglas, because there's so much attention to this, is going to back off and settle for less because he knows he's going to get destroyed for it. If he got 2 second-rounders, he's going to get melted by the media, by the fans. He has to, for his first big test, he has to hold strong, dude. And I just think they're going to call his bluff and they're going to make him come in. They say, listen, we tried our best. We get the value you want. You're still in a contract. You can hold out and lose $40,000 a day, or you can be here. That's it. I think that's what's going to happen.
So then the question is, how much of a pain in the ass does he become where the headache, with him being there and whatever, he's doing to cause a distraction or a potential locker room divide, which I think is a very real possibility. Because let's be honest, Gase has his supporters, and this is something I mentioned also on YouTube. Gase has his supporters with, Alex Lewis and Frank Gore, a couple guys on offense, Darnold. But Jamal also has Jamal also has a lot of guys on his side too, with May and Jamal Adams. So you could already see the potential, if Jamal does show up, and want to, keep stirring things up, there would be guys in his corner. And I don't know how that would, play out in a training camp and then throughout a season. I mean, we're not too far removed from the Brandon Marshall and Sheldon Richardson stuff. So.
Well, and that's the thing, dude. And that's and it's so funny because, you try to separate the media from the fans, from the players. And like you said, the players, all his good friends on the team, which is going to be Le'Veon Bell and Marcus May, they know what's going on, dude. The players talk amongst each other. They say, listen, they promised me a new contract. They didn't do this. They're all going to know. So when push comes to shove in the locker room, they're going to take sides. And, Alex Lewis sticking up for Adam Gase makes sense. I mean, listen, some of these guys are going to be, listen, stop picking on my coach, stop picking on my team. I get it, dude. At some point, you got to stick up for somebody. Somebody's got to say something. So that's cool. That's great. Frank Gore saying something means jack shit to me. He's a third-string running back, dude. He can be cut in training camp. Oh, my God, he's a great leader, great work ethic. Dude, if that's the one voice we're worrying about, when we have 2 guys that are probably playing ahead of him, give me a break with that. But you're right.
I put less value in what Alex Lewis says just because, the fact that Joe Douglas traded for him, knows him from Baltimore, and the fact that, if you look at the way his contract is set up, he's got his money guaranteed this year, but then nothing beyond it. And, he's supposed to make, I think, $7 million in year 2 and year 3 of his contract. So he has every reason to want the Jets to like him and be in their good graces. So, just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, no, like I said, you want to see people support, and that's cool. I think this is the time where the little stories can come up, but the attention's going to come at training camp, dude. When you all report, It all comes in, and Jamal either late or he has an injury or whatever else, and they're going to take sides. It's going to get ugly. And this is where you wonder if Adam Gase, the Jets, have like a mandate where, listen, you can't talk to the media. You cannot address contract issues with the media. Do they give that kind of mandate to kind of silence everybody?
I mean, if they do and Jamal doesn't listen, what's the penalty?
Fine him. Conduct detrimental to the team.
Again,
Belichick does it.
No, listen, I understand. And again, if they want to take that path, I'm not saying it's the wrong path, but again, you're sending a message to the league. I don't know if that's the right message. Maybe it is. But
dude, you can't have a guy come in. Listen, you can't have a guy come in the locker room and just be create chaos and distract everybody when you're trying to get trying to rebuild your team, get everything in the right direction. You can't afford to have it, dude.
I would completely agree, except for the fact that during his tenure, Jamal hasn't been that up until this contract dispute. If Jamal was, Brandon Marshall towards the end, or any number of guys that we've seen, in this organization kind of tear it apart from the inside out, if he was that guy, absolutely move on from him. But the fact that he hasn't been that, like during his tenure, he's been completely the opposite of that. To me, everything that Joe Douglas talks about in wanting a player, that represents this organization, that's what Jamal has been. So
yeah, but it's fine.
Up until
but that's fine. Listen, he's been that guy, and unfortunately, your contract's not getting worked out. We expect you to report on whatever date it is, July 28th. We expect you to practice hard, play hard, and keep your mouth shut in the media. Like, you're now a member of our team. If you don't follow our rules, you're going to get fined. And if you don't like it, sit out, hold out, and don't be here. And you're still under contract. That's it. Like, at some point, the Jets got to lay the law down with him. But listen, you're going to have all this fun and games now in the offseason because you're not in a facility, you're not in a locker room, you're doing whatever you want. Once you report and you're in our facility, we're going to have a different set of rules here. Like, they can have media mandates, dude. If he doesn't want to follow, fine. We'll fine you $10,000. Fine him.
But again, just knowing his stance and how agitated he is at the organization, he'll just find a way to do something. I mean, like we were talking last week, about him potentially, like faking an injury, a hamstring, back, whatever. Like there's any number of things that he could do to still make the team look bad, without actually addressing his contract.
He's going to diminish his value.
You really think so?
Dude, you know what? Like listen, I just think if we get to the my honest opinion is they're not going to be able to trade him. Joe Douglas is going to hold strong. He's going to have to report. If he reports and they're a real pain in the ass, they're going to find him. Dude, they could send him home. Like, they could be, listen, you know what? You're a pain. You don't want to do this? Go home. Fine. Like, dude, and then the bigger distraction is, like, you know what? You're inactive. And just make him miserable. They could play the game. They could play really hardball with him if they want to, dude. And if he doesn't like it,
he might want that. He might want to be inactive.
But then he's missing playing time. The one thing about him is he loves the game of football, dude. Will he be willing to miss games? Like legitimate regular season games over this and get benched and then around the league people are like, you know what? And then the Jets can tell him, listen, you keep doing this, we're not going to get the trade value we want. You're still going to be here. Then what?
Well, it depends what's at the heart of why he wants out, because it's clear at this point it's beyond just a contract dispute. Because if it was, at some point they would get together and, things could potentially be worked out. It's beyond a contract dispute. Could be ownership, could be Gase, could be any number of things. So you have to figure out if, that could be resolved in any way. And I don't know. and that's part of the problem, in giving opinions about this. I don't know why Jamal has turned to this degree.
I think it's broken promises.
You know what I mean?
I think it's broken promises, and it's a lack of communication, broken promises, and a lack of trust.
So if it's that, then I don't think he's going to play for the Jets again, and I think he would actually sit out or just continue to try to make life miserable for them.
Dude, you can't settle for less in a trade deal. Let him be the distraction. Let him embarrass himself, be a complete nightmare. I'd rather have him here miserable and instead of getting a third round pick and dude, we're in a bad spot either way. But you imagine giving away an all-pro player for a second-round pick or a third-round pick or something dude, it'd be ridiculous.
I was gonna say, but if Jamal sits out, yeah, he gets embarrassed. But if the Jets aren't winning, and especially if their defense isn't playing well, And he's just kind of sitting back and, laughing on social media. I mean, the Jets get embarrassed too. Like, nobody wins in this situation. That's why I'm hoping, like, the little bit of positivity that I have in me, I'm hoping that there's still some way that Douglas and Gase and Adams and his agents can still get together and find a way to settle on some kind of contract. I don't think it's going to happen, but if there's any middle ground to be met, I'm hoping that the Jets are being proactive now, as we finally approach training camp and trying to, find some kind of remedy so that this isn't a distraction during training camp.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I'm thinking he's either going to be a Jet under his current contract or a new contract. I don't see him getting traded. I just don't think – I think there's so much damage done, and the Jets are going to play hardball, and unless ownership steps in or something like that, I don't think they're going to get the value they want, and I think he stays. But we'll go on to a couple of things. So to recap real quick, I'm giving Gase credit. So for whatever reason, people think I hate every aspect of Gase. We give him credit when we think he does things right. We rip him when he does things wrong. Like, we're pretty fair here, and we're not like the weirdest thing about some of our listeners and followers is they think we're like Manish like groupies or something like that. So if we have to clear the air here, we were one of the first podcasts to actually have Manish on, and we didn't like him, and we brought him on. We thought we were going to argue with him and fight with him, and ended up learning a lot from him and seeing his whole perspective on things. I said, you know what? He presented himself well. He had some good insight. Yes, he has some hits. Yes, he has some misses. Yes, he has to find ways to get clicks and subscribers because it's a very, very difficult time for the media. But listen, if he writes shit, we call it shit. If he writes something good, we give him credit. If Samini writes something good, if Costello, whoever it is, like, we're not associated to any members of the media. I really don't care. I just like content. If you give good content, we talk about it. So, like, don't you think it's so weird how people group us in, like, you guys always hate Gase and you always support Manish. That's not even the case, dude. We're pretty much, we go back and forth with everybody.
Not at all. Yeah, dude. I like to think that I'm pretty fair. I mean, I try to present both sides when I, discuss something, especially this Jamal situation. I obviously, I give my opinion. I back my opinion because I think I could back it well with facts. And, I think, just the part of, sports talk radio and debate is, kind of digging in a little bit and, defending your opinion. And so that's what we do here. If it comes off overly negative, it's, because we're passionate and we've seen a lot of shit and we want to see a Super Bowl at some point in our lifetime. So, I think that's all it is. And, when it comes to Manish, I mentioned this also on YouTube. I did a long rant on this. Manish is somebody that, like, I disliked for the longest period of time just because I felt like a lot of fans that, he always had an agenda to make the team look bad. And, from the outside in, I think it's easy to, kind of see it that way with social media. But then, like, actually when you get to talk to somebody and you get to see a lot of stories play out over time and you're like, oh, okay, he was right about Mo. He was right about Revis. Certain things. And again, I'm not saying he doesn't get a lot of things wrong, but that's also the nature of the business because no beat reporter gets every single one of their breaking stories or, sources reports right. So I think that more often than not, though, he is trying to serve the fans in, giving them information that they would want to know that's going on in the building. And it's not always stuff you want to hear, but usually it's important information. So that's why, I don't always like him, but I respect his takes, a lot more than, some of the other beat reporters out there.
Yeah, and he's willing, if we challenge him to something, he's always willing to come on here and talk to us about it. He's never hidden from it, and other reporters that we've taken to task won't ever do that with us. So, listen, we're not tied to anybody, and like I said, we don't form, like, I'll speak for myself personally, I don't form my opinions on what a reporter tells me. I look at the grand scheme, and just based on our experience as fans and what we know, we have the opportunity to hear some things from players. So, like, I form my own opinions, dude. Like, I'm not like this program, like, oh, Manish said this is what I do. Like, dude, this is just my opinion. If you don't like it, cool. Let's debate about it. But don't, like, to accuse us that we're like, oh, you guys are just, you always hate Gase and you always support Manish. It's not the case at all. Not even remotely close.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of those people, like, as soon as the report came out, dismissed it just because, it came from Manish. So, I compared it to the Omar Kelly article, the guy who covers the Dolphins from the Sun-Sentinel, he and a lot of people have mentioned this, that, a lot of the Dolphin beat reporters, they didn't start critiquing Gase until after he was out the door because, he fed them information. And, Kelly wrote a great article. This was, in October of last year, basically just, kind of summing up how a lot of things that are going on in the first year, these are mirroring what led to Gase getting fired in years 2 and years 3. So, like, when Manish puts out an article like that, I can only think that there's some validity to it. I'm not saying I believe every single word that he always says, but, anything that's going on with Gase as far as ego, as far as control, how can you not think that there's some level of truth based on his history?
Yeah, and then that's the thing, too, is that the New York Jets, as an organization, they do play the media game, and they like to control the narrative. They like to control certain stories, and they'll say, hey, listen, if you play by this rule, we'll give you this. You play by this rule, we'll give you that. We'll give you, they play it. And so Manish may at times, they may not want to play that game, and I respect that. We don't play that game. So it's like, listen, everybody's got to do a job. Everybody's got to try to make money, and good for them. Listen, it's just, it is what it is. On this show, we're fans. We express our opinions based on what we know. We're not, just blindly following people. It's just the accusations. And it's so funny because when the Manish story came out, we commented on it. We got all kinds of stuff. Samini wrote a great article. I gave him all kinds of credit. No feedback on it. Nobody said anything. Pro Football Network had an excellent thing on Jamal Adams. Gave them credit, talked about it. No comment. It's just like Manish is such a firestorm, dude. And we get grouped in with him. I'm like, dude, we haven't had him on in 2 years or a year and a half. I'm like, how the hell how are we getting synced in with this?
I don't know, man. Again, I think it just comes from that portion of the fan base that, and again, I'm not even saying this in a bad way. There's a portion of the fan base that, and I used to be this way, that was, very rah-rah, always supporting the team, don't like reading anything bad about the team. And, people like us that try to, keep it as real as possible, or Manish that breaks a lot of news that isn't fun to read about, those people tend to get called out a little bit more. So, for as many bad comments as we get, I think there are, equally as many, if not double, triple, people that, respect what we do and see that, we're just passionate fans. We share our opinions. We're not, overly, about ourselves or, in any way. We like to talk football, and, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. So another transition,
How's going on
and oh, dude, I'm next to a Harley Davidson dealership, so I was gonna mute it, and I just gave up. So
I thought you were in Steve's basement.
Yeah, I felt like I had the motorcycle. Dude, it's summertime, man. There's motorcycles and spaceships flying by and all kinds of stuff. So another story that broke is, the Jet, and this story is so funny because we've mentioned this guy a million times, and we kind of said, I don't believe the New England Patriots are going to start with Stidham at quarterback. They can get Cam Newton, they can get somebody else. I just didn't believe it, dude. You just kind of had a feeling they were going to have somebody else in there. They were going to have some kind of veteran there. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh, I told you so, I told you so. I think everybody probably thought this was going to happen, so it didn't surprise me. So what's your take? And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm a Cam Newton fan. I've always liked Cam Newton. He's just a ridiculously great athlete. Gets hurt a lot, but he changed the game in a lot of ways. Dynamic player. What do you think about him going to the Patriots?
I mean, I think it all depends on which Cam Newton that they get. I think if he's healthy and if he's motivated to earn maybe one last deal, I think he could absolutely be a factor in the shape of this division, because I think a lot of people think it's the Bills' division to run away with, and I tend to think that way. But I also could see where, a situation where the Bills defense plays well, the teams maybe start to adjust to Josh Allen a little bit more, force him to throw the ball. And, if Cam Newton's healthy and Belichick can, build a system around him, the Patriots defense is going to be solid. So I could see this, being a two-team race probably. I would hope maybe the Jets can be in there as a three-team race, if it's like a 9-10 win division, which I think it could be. But I think this definitely elevates the Patriots a little bit, because obviously a healthy Cam Newton, he could do a lot more than what Stidham can do. Yeah,
and then you think, Belichick and his staff are always good about catering the offense to your playmakers. They'll cater the offense to Cam Newton. They're not going to have the Tom Brady offense, but they need to run the ball a lot more. They may do more smash mouth, use the running backs in a variety of ways. They're going to do a lot of things, and they're going to put him in a position to succeed. So I don't have no ill will. And it's funny. People are like, oh, how do you rank the quarterbacks? I'm like, listen, I still think Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in the division. Is he in the best situation? The answer is no. And that's just the way I feel. I think that Josh Allen's in a much better situation, just in terms of all the playmakers around him. Cam Newton, I think he's got better coaching staff around him, which makes a big difference. Tua is an unknown. Tua, is he healthy? What is he going to do? But, to me, it's like, Cam Newton is a former MVP. The Patriots are always going to be a good team until proven otherwise. So I'd never discount them ever. I think the Bills are going to be very good. And it's just, can the Jets keep up? Are they good enough to keep up with all these guys? And the problem I think we're going to have is that slowly but surely, I think preseason games are going to go by the wayside. And the rumors already started today. And I'll keep saying it if they play one preseason game, it's probably the most because they're not going to play meaningless games with all the risk associated with the virus. So if you have one preseason game and limited practices where they're kind of worried about contact, this and that, and isolation, dude, Gase is going to have his hands full getting this team on the same page where the Buffalo Bills don't have that much change. Now, the Patriots do because of Cam Newton, but the Jets, I think, are kind of behind the eight ball in terms of starting off strong, getting off the block with all these potential changes coming up with preseason.
It still can't be an excuse, though. I mean, it's not like, Gase is a first-year coach or he has the new quarterback like, Belichick with Cam Newton. You even said yourself that, Darnold's the best quarterback in the division, and I think by far. Obviously, Josh Allen is in a much better situation, so he's going to be more successful. He has more weapons around him, a better coach, better O-line, all that stuff. But, I think that this for the Jets to be able to compete in this division, I mean, they need a lot to go their way. I mean, they need Gate. Dude, hold on one sec. I got something going on at my door. Dude, this is nuts. Hold on.
What? Wait, we put the show on hold? Like,
hold on.
Dead air now? What's going on here? What, somebody breaking in?
All right, I'm back.
Should I call 911? What's going on?
Like it, dude. I'm back. My neighbor was just. All right, yeah. All right, what were we saying?
No, but listen, there's no excuses, but if we're being, like, honest Jet fans, and you're saying, listen, just saying through they play one preseason game, and they have, training camp, whatever else, you need to have your offensive line, which can have 3 or 4 new parts, 2 new receivers, Chris Herndon back, who hasn't played in a while, so many moving parts to work on the spot, on the dime against a very good Buffalo defense. I mean, dude, there's gonna be growing pains no matter how you look at it. My biggest thing is, listen, I don't care about Cam Newton, I don't care about Josh Allen. I care about getting Sam Darnold protected and off to a good start where he's comfortable in the offense and he can make things happen. And that's my only concern the first 3 weeks of the season is I just don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see him get mauled. I don't want to see the offense going backwards. So if they have to play ground the pound for 2 weeks to get everybody on the same page, I'm fine with it. But that's it. Like, it's more and more the focus is on the coaching staff because it's all you got to do. They have to find plans and be innovative to get things going, dude, because they're not going to have, like, the luxuries they had last year in terms of, like, practice and games.
No, and like I was trying to say before, I mean, I don't think there can be any excuses this year. I think that Gase, he's familiar with Sam, and he's the best quarterback in the division by far. And it's time to unlock what he can do. The Jets do have some weapons on offense. Obviously, I think that we have some questions at receiver, but just the improvement on the O-line alone.
So, but how long does it take?
Put you in the.
How long are you giving the O-line to gel?
That's a good question. I mean, you have veterans on there, so it's not. I mean, you have Becton as probably your lone rookie there that's going to start, but everybody else should be a veteran. So I don't think it should take that long. I mean, you mentioned a good point with the preseason games. If there are no preseason games, I think that could be a factor. But then that just means that you have to, coach better in practices, and
Yeah, but dude,
and again, we don't even know what practices
simulating
are
game
going to look like
so
yet.
different, dude. Like, it's simulating it.
Yes, but a lot of the issues with the O-line last year were communication related. So just understanding what you're supposed to do, with a certain defensive look, understanding
now you have a new center, you have a whole new line, and you have a rookie at left tackle. Who's going to be like just
you're already making the excuses for him.
Because I asked you a question, I still haven't got an answer yet. How many games do you give him to Joe? 3? 2?
I would expect the offense to be looking good by like week 3, week 4. I mean, and I would hope that they'd be able to come out in week 1 and at least look competent. I mean, and not get embarrassed. You have the entire summer to prepare for it.
So if they go 1-3 and the offensive line is struggling, you can't get mad because that's what you're expecting then.
It depends how they look.
Welcome to my web.
If they're getting embarrassed, I can absolutely be pissed about it. If they're competing and the offense, has moments where they look good, drives where they look good, but it's just a play here and there where they're falling short, which led to the losses, that's a different story. I touched on this, a few weeks ago. Like, evaluating Gase isn't just going to be about the record. It's about how the team looks every single week, how prepared they are, how they adjust in games. Like, there's a lot of things that are going to go into, especially Sam, how he performs. I think all of this stuff has to go into how we evaluate the team and Gase for for 2020.
Fair enough. I'm just saying there's definitely some challenges, man. And so how do you rank the quarterbacks right now in the AFC East, including Cam now?
Well, it's definitely Sam at the top. And then I would have to put Allen too, but a healthy Cam, I think, in the right system with Belichick, I think he can compete for, that second spot. But right now he's probably third. And then, whoever the Dolphins end up starting, whether it's, Fitz, Rosen, or Tua, that's probably fourth right now.
So then how do you rank the playmakers in the AFC East?
Ooh. That's a tough one.
The Bills have got to be one.
Bills one. Could the Jets be two? No, Dolphins. Probably Dolphins and then the Jets.
Yeah, the Patriots don't really have they're just completely rebuilding. They can go ground and pound if they want to.
Nothing. Patriots have nothing.
So you're gonna go Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots?
Yeah.
Okay. So then how do you rank the coaching staffs in the division?
All right. Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, Jets.
All right, just wondering, man.
That's an easy one.
It's just interesting to see how it's just gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think the Bills are the team to beat, but I think the Patriots now with Cam, like I said, they're always well coached. They always find a way. They'll probably change their offense completely around to fit him, and they'll be dangerous. They could probably win 7-8 games in their sleep at this point, just the way that Bill Belichick has things going. So now it's just up to the Jets to find a way to compete with them. I don't take nothing for granted with this team. The Jets have a lot to prove. Gase, Darnold, everybody. So we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I think expectations should be to compete week in and week out. I'm not putting any expectations as far as the record goes. Just compete against very good teams and show that you can get your quarterback to, that next level that we all think he can get to. And I think a lot of fans would be happy with that.
All right. We're going to bring on Mr. NYSF Magazine. What's up, Jay?
That was the easiest, most softball lobbed question of all time. Who would rank the coaching staff? I love that. I like to get a Jets fan on here that would put Adam Gase anywhere but at the bottom of that list because
so how do you rank?
That would be
how do you rank the quarterbacks?
Quarterbacks, it's funny because the quarterbacks I'm putting. Listen, I'm putting Sam at the top of that list, and I'm telling you why. I wouldn't trade him for any of the other quarterbacks in the division, and I think that every other team would trade their quarterback for Sam Darnold. So, maybe the Bills, are comfortable with Josh Allen, but I think they were being honest that considering the talent and everything, I just think Darnold has higher upside.
Fire. What do you think, Kev?
Dude, it's not even a competition. I mean, I just think that Sam has just been put in such a bad situation that it's so hard to evaluate what he can do. And, kind of like Sanchez, he experienced a lot of success early on, but it was because he had a lot of the, the right pieces around him. And so, as long as the Bills continue to do that, not like the Jets did with Sanchez, I think Allen's going to, have a lot of success with Buffalo.
Yeah, Bob Wischusen actually had a tweet that made a lot of sense. I mean, people were trying to argue with me on Twitter a little bit that, because I put that take out there that I still thought the Jets had the best quarterback in the division, and people said I was crazy because Cam Newton won an MVP, almost went undefeated, has a much better resume. But Bob was right. I mean, he said the Patriots would trade Cam Newton, Stidham, and a first-round draft pick for Darnold tomorrow. So what does that tell you? I mean, it's true.
Yeah, but
he's right.
But what do you think about Cam Newton, man? I think he's motivated. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's still young. Can you see the Patriots getting something out of him where he's going to be very productive and they have a competitive team?
Yeah, I just think that his body's been so banged up and some of the hits that he's taken throughout his career is just taking a toll at this point. I mean, he's only 31, but he's a really old 31, right? I mean, could he have a career resurgence under Bill Belichick? I mean, if anybody could get it out of him, I'm sure it's Belichick. But it seems like a weird fit to me because Cam's strengths aren't really, like Brady was the ultimate pocket passer, right? And Cam, when he's healthy, I mean, his strength is being able to move around and scramble. And, can Belichick put an offense together that's going to play to that strength? I'm not sure. And can Cam withstand, another year, I mean, he hasn't been healthy in years. And on top of that, can he be a pure pocket passer that, that'll just stand back there and I don't see it. I mean, I honestly think that Cam's going to get hurt again, just like he always does, and you're going to see more games out of Stidham than you do Cam anyway. That's my hot take.
So then, how do you rank the supporting cast in the AFC East then?
I would probably say that the Bills have the most talent, just pure talent-wise. I think the Bills have the most talented roster. I think that probably, amazingly enough, I think that that the Dolphins probably are number 2 right now. The Jets are probably number 3, and coming up and the cellar are the Patriots. But I think the funny thing is, despite the fact that the Patriots have the least talented, for the first time, I think, in recent memory, the least talented roster in the division, I still think that they got to be considered the favorites to win the division, specifically because of their, until somebody knocks them off, until I see that happen, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt with Belichick there. So I think it's obviously going to be a wide open division this year between the Patriots and the Bills, and I think that the Jets and Dolphins will be, fighting it out for the bottom of the division. I just don't have any confidence in our coaching staff to really, with this schedule, get us more than 6 wins.
Coaching staff aside, just looking at the roster, having a quarterback in Sam, do you think that roster-wise, this team should at least be in the conversation to compete for the division with Buffalo and the Patriots?
Yeah, look, if you switch coaching staffs, if you gave us the Bills or even the Dolphins coaching staff, I think that we could get 9 wins out of this team, maybe even 10. But I think that with our coaching staff, it's 6, and I think that if you gave us Belichick with this roster, I think they would be the big time favorite to win the division. I think that would be an 11-win team. I think that's the difference between a Belichick coach team and a Gase coach team is about 5 or 6 wins. That's how terrible I think Gase is. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I mean, I agree with you, Kev. A lot of things got to break right for the Jets to compete in this division. I mean, you got to stay healthy first and foremost. You got to keep Darnold in for every game. Number one. Because if Darnold goes out, I mean, it's not that Flacco can't play a game, but I mean, any significant amount of time, we're in big trouble. And I think that the single biggest factor this year is there's so much turnover and the offensive line, while it should be, talent-wise, is leaps and bounds better than it was. There's no time for them to gel and to come together. I mean, we saw what happened last year, with a bunch of their offensive linemen not playing all preseason and everything, and then trying to work it all together, and how long it took for that offensive line to come together. Now, these guys have never even played together. I mean, it's a completely redone offensive line, topped off by the fact that there's going to be probably relatively no preseason and training camp. I mean, the way things are going, who knows when the hell they're even going to be able to start practicing. So how many games then, Jay? How many games would you give the Jets to let this offensive line gel? I think that it's going to take a minimum of 4 to 5 games for this offensive line to really start coming into their own. And I think that you got to protect Darnold
games.
for those
Jesus
first 4
Christ,
or 5
I'm already
games.
getting flashbacks to last year. Oh,
I know, but I mean, but do you see any other way? I mean, do you think that
Nope.
how the best offensive lines in the league are the ones that have continuity and the same guys coming back year after year?Maybe you replace one guy and you patch him in and he gets used to the rest of the team gets used to him, but you got you got a rookie,
a new center and a new left tackle. Good luck, people.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, good luck with no training camp and no time to really practice.
And then the Bills and 49ers the first 2 weeks, the 2 tough defenses. Yippee.
And Adam Gase's coaching staff, Adam Gase's offensive coaching staff, Dowell Loggins. I mean, the offensive line wasn't good last year. I mean, and so I don't know, man. I know a lot of people are optimistic. I think that I'm not trying to completely crap on the team. I think that the roster is totally trending in the right direction. And I think that, I just think that, this is the perfect storm to get out to a really slow start for us. It's a tough schedule. It's going to be tough to gel. You got the handicap of Adam Gase back there, calling the plays. And so I think that you could see another kind of situation like what you saw last year where they get off to, oh my God! And I just, could you imagine to get off to like a 1-4, 1-5 start or something like that, and just all hell breaks loose. So you got Jamal Adams, who could potentially be back in that locker room. Really, there's, guys, the fans going crazy, planes, whatever the hell is going on at that point. It's just could be a really.
Who the hell does planes? What moron does planes, man? That's just ridiculous.
It won't be me this time because I'm done with it. But I say that now, and then we'll get off to a 1-5 start, and then we'll see what happens.
I've heard that before too. Yeah, this Idzik thing's the last thing. Never again. I'm never gonna do this again. Never. Phew. Right out the window.
Well, I didn't think they could ever make a mistake as bad as hiring Idzik, but
right now Kevin's cringing.
Just shaking my head.
Jay, before we let you go, man, give out. You're doing something really cool tonight at 10 o'clock. Give out your information of what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. Actually, we're going to be on Instagram Live doing. It's becoming really popular, these sports card breaks, and there's no sports right now, so we're trying to have some fun with it. And we have a relationship now with a distributor who's, we're going to be getting all these super rare boxes of cards and everything, and there's just incredibly valuable cards floating around inside of those packs. I mean, you got to be lucky to pull one, but if you get a Zion, a Zion or a Ja Morant or a Joe Burrow or a Tua, rare autographed card. The Zions are worth some of them are worth like $20,000, and it's relatively inexpensive to get involved in these breaks. But again, it's not, don't put your last $100 in hoping for a miracle. That's not, it's not a great bet to do that. But if you have, a couple extra bucks and you want to have some fun and take a gamble and take a spin at the old roulette wheel, there's a lot of upside. Last night, for instance, I got involved in one, with a bunch of friends, and I pulled a rare Chase Young autographed jersey card that was, I think it's worth like $500 or something like that. So, and it was only $60 to get in on that break. So it was pretty cool. You could totally wind up getting like a James Morgan autograph or something like that that's worth like $5. But you could definitely, there's a lot of upside in it. So we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And, if you don't want to buy in, but you just want to check out the scene and see what it's like, just tune into our Instagram Live tonight at NYSF Mag. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully, I really hope that we pull something big tonight, because I think that would be really cool. Like if we pulled like a $10,000 Zion card or something like that, I think that people would become believers. So check it out.
Jay, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
And don't forget, you guys listening, njmmashop.com. I've been doing a terrible job. It's our freaking fundraiser, and I haven't promoted it at all. njmmashop.com. We have shirts out there sponsored by eClean Bro. 10% of the sales go to Community Food Bank of New Jersey. We appreciate you guys checking it out. Look at that. My bad. I haven't mentioned it all. I completely blew it. So we're going to bring on Mr. Joe Grinweiss. Mr. Panda, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Well, dude, we got right to the hot seat here. Yeah, we're gonna rank the quarterbacks in the AFC East, Joe.
Oh wow. If Cam Newton is healthy, if he returns to November 2018 in prior form, he would be 1. Sam would be 2.
Whoa.
Josh 3. Fitzpatrick 4. If Cam is not healthy, if he is what he's been the last year and a half, then Sam 1, Josh 2, Fitz 3, Cam 4.
Oof.
Whoa.
What do you think?
It's the difference between 1 and 4 in my mind. You've got a guy who, between 2011 and 2015, was one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And he fell off a little bit in 2016.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
2017 and 2018, prior to midway through the season, 2018 was actually looking to be on par with 2015, his MVP season. And then he hurt his shoulder. And then last year, his feet went out from underneath him. Now, those are big, serious injuries, especially for a guy who's able to do. Right, and they are serious injuries for a guy who has a game of his ilk where he runs often. But at the same time, it's not impossible for a 31-year-old to recover from that. He missed 14 games last year, and last year was a complete disaster, but it was one time. Prior to that, you think of Cam as a runner, you think he might be unhealthy, but really prior to last year, he really wasn't. He didn't miss a lot of games from 2011 through 2018 until he screwed up his shoulder and then his feet last year. So if he's healthy somehow, some way, he's the best quarterback in the division, hands down. Sorry. I love Sam just as much as everyone else, but he hasn't proven it yet. Cam has. So if he's healthy, he's the best. But if he's not, then he's a liability.
So then how would you rank the supporting cast around the quarterbacks then? 'Cause this is where it kind of changes things for the rankings.
Are we including running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, and
Yep.
offensive line, or are we leaving out the
Yep,
offensive
everything.
line?
Full package.
If we're including the offensive line, then Buffalo is 1 no matter what. I would put the Patriots at 2, the Jets at 3, and the Dolphins at 4.
Wow, the Patriots at 2?
My reasoning for it is people do forget that last year Tom Brady lost his center on basically the eve of the season due to a heart issue. He lost his left tackle for the first 10 games of the year. And the Patriots' offensive line is as long as they're healthy, they are better than the Jets as of now until this new group proves it. Everybody is very excited about the 76 guards that we signed this offseason and the drafting of Becton. But until they prove that they can work together as a unit, I don't buy it. I am old enough to remember the years where the Jets have replaced 3 or 4 guys on the line, and it took until November for them to get in sync. And that was back when there were 2-a-days in training camp. And that was back when there was a normal off-season where players got together and learned things. It is very hard for offensive linemen these days to get in sync together, and I think it's going to take some time. Now, by 2021, they might be the best offensive line in the division. But for 2020, I just don't. Not early on. I can't put them ahead. And when it comes to receiver, I'll take Sanu and Edelman over Rashad Perriman and a rookie.
Fair. So how many games would you say that the Jets' offensive line, it would take them to gel, like to be on the same page where they're not completely blowing assignments?
If it was a normal offseason, I'd say about 6 to 8 games. But since it's not, it's kind of hard to tell. If I'm going to be optimistic, I'll say 8 to 10.
Oh, Christ. You're giving me a freaking nervous breakdown over here. My God.
Well, I mean, you know as
We're
well
just
as
planting
I
all the
when we
excuses.
placed the line in the 2000s. Exactly, this is exactly what happened.
Kevin's in shock.
I mean, Gase is basically just going to get a pass this year then because, without a full training camp, even though every coach is going to be in the same boat, that's guaranteed to be used as why, if the Jets struggle this year, that'll be used as the reason why.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, if there was no such thing as COVID-19, that would have been the excuse anyway, because they weren't going to fire him after only one full season with Douglas. It was never going to happen unless they go 2-14 this season.
So then,
with Woody
Kevin.
coming back, I think that. Well, no, I think with Woody coming back, that could potentially change the dynamic. If he's coming back to a complete shitstorm, I don't know how much say he has over Joe Douglas. I don't know what the agreement was when Joe Douglas took the job, and how much they're tied together. But certainly, if the team, even if they're not 2-14, but like 4-12, 5-11, and it's a locker room disaster, I don't know if Gase would survive that for another year.
That would be our only saving grace is if Woody came back. If Woody is back, I agree with you. If Woody is back, I don't leave anything off the table. Then Gase very well could be gone. But if Woody's back, not back, I don't trust that at all. Christopher Johnson will not pull the trigger.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Now, Joe, what is your take on this Jamal Adams thing? I think the Jets did their best to kind of try to silence it, say they want him back. They're kind of trying to neutralize some of this nonsense. But how do you think this is going to play out, man? I get this funny feeling they can't trade him because they're not getting the value they want.
They should have traded him before the draft. They should have gotten Dallas' first-round pick, and right now we could have CeeDee Lamb and Denzel Mims, but it is what it is. And I hope they do trade him at this point because he doesn't want to be here. He's proven that. He grew up entitled, and it shows. He's selfish, and it shows. And he doesn't want to be here, and he continuously proves it. He continuously proves that he doesn't want to be here. he claims he wants to change the culture and that he's built different. But in 3 years, he's whining his way out of town and saying he will go to a quarter of the league. Oh, by the way, all winners, all teams in the playoffs last year, and will not need an extension to play for them. But for the Jets, he does. To me, that's garbage. You're not a culture changer. You're not built different, and you're not built for New York.
Dude, I'm saying, isn't it possible that he sees the same things that you see in this organization? Like when we complain sometimes, I mean, what does he owe the Jets to want to stay here and play out the rest of his career? Why can't he still be the same leader, just have no desire to want to do it with the Jets anymore, where coming to work, it's not fun for him anymore?
You can't call yourself a leader if you are constantly out there saying how you're going to change everything. And
what if half the locker room agrees with
and
that?
And then in 3 years, you're going to ask your way out when you have 2 years left on your contract. Doesn't matter if Adam Gase is incompetent or not. If you're that good of a player, if you're that much of a leader, you stick around for a decade, you sign the deal, and you know that if the coach is that terrible, he will be gone before you.
See, but it's not just the coach. If it's a combination of coach, ownership, roster, all these things, and he does not have any faith in ownership to ever get this thing right, and he looks at the past decade and says, I don't see things changing there, and one player, one safety can't completely change the game, but, I don't see – yeah, go ahead.
But, Kevin, that's not what I was told by Jamal Adams. I was told that he's not just a safety, that he is a game changer, that he is one of the best players ever to put on the pad.
And he needs more help around him. That's why you build around him.
But when he goes up against Tom Brady every single season, he doesn't do jack. He gets his ass burnt. He shows up against Dwayne Haskins.
You're saying he's just
Daniel
a safety?
Jones.
What are you telling me now?
He is just a damn safety. And, yeah, he is one of the top three in the league. But he's not Ed Reed. He's not Ronnie Lott. And let me tell you something. He's never going to be.
Whoa. Hater. Joey's angry at Jamal Adams.
He brought it on himself.
I don't want to make comparisons either way to any greats because I don't know what he's going to be. But to say that he can't be a potential Hall of Famer, why not?
He's not on their level. He is not on Ed Reed or Ronnie Lott's level.
Dude, he's been All-Pro. He's only been in the league 3 years. He's been All-Pro twice.
He's put up more sacks and forced fumbles, I think, than almost half those guys that are in the Hall of Fame at safety.
I wish he was an outside linebacker then.
And then you get C.J. Mosley in front of him,
which
probably do even more.
Which is exactly why he's not just a safety, because you can put him anywhere on the field.
He is now claiming that he's just a safety. He liked the tweet an hour ago from a Jet fan or someone who's
angry,
who's saying that he's just a safety. Now he's just a safety because it fits his crybaby attitude to get out of here. It wouldn't be a problem if he would just shut his mouth, but he doesn't stop talking.
So Joe, if you woke up tomorrow, wait, Kevin, hold on. If you woke up tomorrow and the Jets gave an extension for 3 more years, what would you think?
If they gave him an extension for 3 more years, then I would do, whatever. I'm not saying that I hope the guy sucks the rest of his career. If he's a part of this team this year, I hope he comes out and has the best year of his career. I hope he actually does step it up when he plays a good quarterback. And I hope then that we can get the overrated value that we have for him. So I will root for him if he gets a 3-year deal. I will treat him like I treated Jason Taylor when he was here for his 1 year. I will cheer for the defense, but I will never cheer for him individually ever again.
Whoa. These are some fire takes right now. Okay, Kevin.
At what point, especially on the field, has he not represented exactly everything that Joe Douglas talks about in wanting a player to represent his organization? He has been all of that. So, again, you could make a fair point, and you're absolutely correct, with how he's handled it, how he looks childish, how he looks selfish. That's all correct. I'm not saying you're wrong on that. But to excuse everything else that probably went into this that we don't know about behind the scenes, as far as why he wants out, the role of Adam Gase, and not feeling like the Jets could be a winner, why he'd be willing to play for a winner on his contract right now, because it's a Jets tax. If he's going to play another down in a Jets uniform, he wants that guaranteed money because he has no faith in this organization to do anything to get it right. That's why I feel for him. I don't agree with him, but I feel for him.
I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but you have 2 years left on a contract that you willingly signed, and you need to play it out. And if you don't want to play it out, That's your
I mean,
problem.
as a rookie,
but you can't give up after 3 years and
it.
start demanding a trade after you come in here saying how you're going to change everything. I don't care what your view is on the ownership. I don't care what your view is on the coach. You can't come out here with 2 years left on your deal after all you've talked about is how things have changed and blah, 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 and you're this and you're that, and then after 3 years say, you know what, I'm going to cut shit. I can't handle it.
If he doesn't feel like his role could be maximized, his value can be maximized, and that he could be a part of a winner here because ownership and the head coach is never going to get it right, I mean, what more can he do? I don't think
it's been 3 years. Now, you could possibly give it a little bit more time than 3 years.
So you don't have
especially
to
if he's so amazing himself, and he thinks he's so able to change cultures.
I'm just saying the life of a football player is very short, and you have one chance to get a maximum contract, and he's staring at that opportunity right now, and he's looking at playing this season for $3.5 million, and one injury, he could lose that. And to risk it for the Jets, what have they given him? That's how he's looking at it in his mindset, that he's done everything right for this organization.
They drafted him 6th overall. They gave him $20+ million out of college.
He was still going to be
they gave him plenty. He could get
regardless.
injured tomorrow, and if he was intelligent with his money, he wouldn't need another cent.
He would have been a star wherever he was drafted, and he'd be looking at getting paid wherever he was right now. That wouldn't be an issue.
Those are hypotheticals, and that's great that he could be looking to be paid, and he could want to be paid all he wants. The fact is, he has 2 years left on his deal, and not many people with 2 years left on his deal get new deals. And let me tell you something. Going back to what Tyson said about a 3-year extension tomorrow,
some do, though.
I guarantee you, if he got a 3-year extension tomorrow, in 2 years, he'd be crying again for more because he will never be satisfied.
Who else do the Jets
That
have
is
to
just
pay
how
right
he is built. He is weak-minded. He might be a great football player, but he is weak-minded.
Who else do the Jets have to pay right now?
Nobody right now, other than C.J. Mosley and Le'Veon Bell, but they're going to have to pay Sam eventually.
Okay, so whatever you're going to pay Sam, and you might not even have to do that next year because Sam will be in the same situation as Jamal.
Next year, 2 years.
Okay, so you have 2 years until you do that. You have over $100 million in cap space next year. Douglas isn't going to build through free agency and hand out all these crazy contracts. So where's all that money going? Why not give it to a guy that realistically he has earned it? We could say whatever we want about how he's handled the contract dispute. On the field, in the locker room, I think most guys would agree he has earned that contract. So why wouldn't the Jets want to talk to him and give it to him like many other guys have gotten after 3 years? I know not many have, but some have. So why wouldn't the Jets want to reward Jamal, who has proven to be in that caliber of player that he wants to get paid at?
Because it's not how you run a business. Just because another team does something doesn't mean you go and do the same thing. Then you're going to have everybody with 2 years left on their deal saying, I want a new deal, and if you don't give me it, I want a trade. And you're going to get that from everybody down the line.
For the right players that exceeds expectations, I think that sends a good message, that if you come in, you exceed expectations, you go above and beyond, doing the right things, representing the organization the right way, you'll get rewarded. I think that sends a good message.
To me, you get rewarded when there's 1 year left on a deal.
1 year? That's not realistic, dude.
Why? That's how most coaches and players live it. They get an extension with 1 year left on their deal. You play the first 3 or 4 years, depending on if it's a 4 or 5 year contract, depending on the round, and then you get a deal. Yes, there's been exceptions like Christian McCaffrey this offseason. And trust me, in 5 years,
J.J. Watt,
when he's banged up because they give him 500 touches a season, that will be a big regret.
Again, if it had never happened before and the Jets were going to be the first team to do it, I could understand. But the fact that plenty of teams have done it, I know it's not common, but plenty of teams have done it, and you have a player that has proven himself to be in that caliber. So, again, when you have a roster that needs talent and you don't have anybody else to pay, I don't see what the issue would have been having these conversations back before the draft. That way, if Jamal really just wanted out and this wasn't about a contract, you make the trade and you get draft assets that help you this season. So that's where, this all goes back to the Jets really screwing up there.
Well, I agree with that. They definitely should have traded him prior to the draft. Going back to $100 million and having nobody to sign,
they should have had the conversation.
That's not true that they have nobody to sign. But it's not true that they have nobody to sign. They have to sign Darnold within 2 years.
Big money.
You're going to have to sign Marcus May, and if you don't, then you're going to look for replacements. you've got your receivers. Crowder's got 1 year after 2020 on his deal. Perriman's on a 1-year deal. And then you have Mims. You're going to need to add 2 to 3 receivers. And guess what? It would be great to get a veteran in here to help Sam. So I'd rather do that at this point.
And $100 million can't do all of that and then some? And again, isn't Joe Douglas
$20 million a year.
Draft? Like, Joe Douglas wants to build through the draft. That's his strategy. So I don't think – I could be wrong. And, again, I know the Jets are, strapped financially this offseason apparently, according to Manish. But I don't see the Jets, going into this, spending spree next offseason where they're just handing out contracts to free agents. And so I keep asking, if they're not spending it on free agents, then where's that money going to go? Are they just not going to spend it like the Idzik days? Or who are they going to give it to? A bunch of mediocre players that are going to keep us a mediocre team? Or do we invest in somebody that has proven himself to be a potential game changer that just needs more talent around him?
You could invest in him if he hadn't done everything that he has done in the social media spotlight and if he had waited past the 2021 season. But his actions have taken that all away. And he has proven and stated that he no longer wants to be here, so it's a moot point whether or not they should pay him or not, because he doesn't want to be here anymore. He has continually said it's time to move on.
Yeah, now he doesn't, and I don't fully blame him for getting to that point, because I think a lot of stuff that led to him feeling this way towards the organization or Gase or whatever is really behind it, I don't fully put that on him. He's a guy that wants to be a part of a winning organization, and I don't.
He wants to be Scottie Pippen. He wants to go to one of the 8 winning teams and be Scottie Pippen because he doesn't have the Jordan mentality that he claims to have.
Dude, basketball and football, player.
He doesn't.
I mean,
look at his
the
list
ability
of
to make
teams.
a difference
I'm sorry,
for one player in basketball versus football, though.
Because he can't bring a winning culture. He can't do it. So now he wants to just go be a part of someone else's. I understand. I get it. He wants to go win and not have to do too much to do it. I get it. It's the easy way. Have fun. Go to Houston, Dallas, great time.
So what if Gase thinks nothing of Jamal, and so Jamal really can't be the kind of leader that he wants to be in that locker room because, again, Gase has his people, and those people are on his side, and he's trying to establish his thing that way. And Jamal, who was a leader his first 2 years, I don't think anybody looked at him on or off the field and said, all right, this guy, he's not it. Everybody praised every single thing that he did because he did it the right way. So what's behind all of it?
Behind all of him wanting to get out because he doesn't want to play anymore on his rookie contract. And yeah, maybe Gase and his relationship, which is definitely horrible. I don't care what the team tries to put out.
It's not just a contract dispute, though. This is clearly not just a contract dispute.
And if it's his relationship with Gase, as I said before, if you're that player, you will last longer than the coach. Deal with it, suck it up, and you'll last longer. Gase's ineptness will show sooner than later. He will be gone sooner than later.
And I think he would agree, but that's why he wants to get paid. If he's going to suck it up, he wants to get paid. He wants to have a voice that would be equal to Gase and what Gase is trying to do. He wants to be able to be Jamal, the Jamal that he's been since day one.
Did you ever come to think that maybe it's not Gase, maybe it's Douglas who doesn't want to pay him? I know everybody is. I know Lord Douglas
possible,
is everybody's favorite GM. The next
No.
coming of Ozzie Newsome, just like McCagnon was, and Idzik was, and Tannenbaum was. Because this is how this fan base always goes. The next GM is always a great thing, and everything he does is beautiful until 2 years later when the roster's stuck and we're repeatedly 5-11.
Well, you just mentioned Ozzie Newsome. So going back to Baltimore, where Joe Douglas comes from, he obviously had Ed Reed there, and they were actually talking about this the other day on the radio. I could absolutely see Joe Douglas seeing comparisons to what Ed Reed helped to bring in Baltimore and wanting to keep Jamal Adams. And so you wonder if it is a situation about Adam Gase, knowing that Joe Douglas and Gase are kind of tied together a little bit, where would he side? If it's if it's an impact player versus a head coach that really hasn't proven anything yet.
If Douglas thought Jamal Adams was Ed Reed, he'd pay him today.
Fair enough.
That's how I feel.
Do you think it's possible then that Adam Gase has more power over Joe Douglas, or you think it's absolutely just Joe Douglas not wanting to pay him right now?
If Adam Gase has more power over a GM with a 6-year contract, then we've got more problems in this situation. I really hope that's not the case.
I said that last week. I hope so as well. But
I know we're not going to come eye to eye on this, but I don't 100% blame it on Jamal either. I know it comes off that way, but I do blame the Jets in one regard, and that is they did openly talk about possibly giving him a contract. So in that regard, Douglas should have shut his mouth. So I do give him some of the blame for that, and that probably did stir up some of Adams' feelings. But at the same time, when your employer tells you you've got to wait, you've got to wait.
Joe, well done. You guys, I was sitting here eating popcorn and stuff. I'm just hanging out, just listening to you two. Well done, Joe. You should pull it more often, man. We appreciate it.
I will try to. You guys take care of it.
Have a good 4th of July weekend, man.
All right, you too.
Prime time. You come back in a blaze of glory here, man. Jesus.
See, I knew that one was going to happen because he was texting me yesterday about that Jamal situation, and I kind of sensed where he was, kind of like where he leaned on it, and I saw a few of his tweets. So I was like, hey, call in, and we'll just, we'll air it out on the show. So I had a feeling it was going to escalate a little bit. But, listen, I agree with a lot of his points. I keep saying this. Everyone keeps saying that, like, I'm just out to defend Jamal and make the Jets look bad. I'm not saying in any sense that Jamal is handling any of this situation right. It just comes down to what ultimately changed him from the guy that I think he was during, his first 2.5 years, until, into the guy that, we see now, which is, unfortunately just not the leader that, we all kind of bought into. And it's not that I don't think he is still that guy.
Fair enough. We're going to bring on @Talk Jets Radio on Instagram and Twitter. Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. I'm doing a terrible job of promoting things. I don't know what the hell it is. It must be the off season. Mr. Steve, we're going to bring on. This should be fun. Steve, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good.
Steve, what are your thoughts on Cam Newton joining the Patriots?
Oh, hang on one second. I'm doing good, Kevin. It's good to hear from you, brother.
You too, man.
Yep. Okay, so Tyson, go back to your question. I'm sorry.
So what are your thoughts on Cam Newton going to the Patriots?
I mean, the thing when I look at that, listen, all the Jets fans were going nuts, everyone's saying, oh, Cam Newton's with the Patriots. I mean, I had a feeling it was going to happen because I knew the Patriots were going to bring in a veteran because the other guy, what his name is, I knew wasn't really not sure if he's going to be the answer. But I mean, the thing is, I'm not really too worried about like what New England does. I mean, yes, they're in our division. The biggest focus is that we got to focus on Sam and how the Jets do.
So who would you say is the favorite right now, the division?
As of right now, the Bills are the favorites to win the division.
Do you think Cam changes the conversation at all, or do you think the Jets could at least compete and be in the conversation?
I want the Jets to compete. I want the Jets to compete for the division title. I mean, it's just the thing is Buffalo just has the better team as of now, and honestly, they have the better coaching staff than the Jets do. And I mean, and the thing is, New England still has that solid defense, so he's just got to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get, labeled a homer.
You're going to let him wait. Kevin, hold on a second. Kevin, hold on. You're going to let him get away with that answer? We're just going to see. You're going to let him get away with that?
I was trying to, but.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll probably be labeled a homer because I think the Jets can compete for the division, not because I think they're going to win 11, 12 games, but because I do think this could be a division that could be won potentially with only 9 or 10 wins. So if everything breaks right for the Jets, everybody stays healthy, especially Sam, then I think it's possible that you could see the Jets right around that 8 to 9 win mark, and potentially in December they're still, in the hunt, our favorite, phrase on this show.
Yeah, no, I know. I get where we're at. That's the one thing you gotta have. You gotta have a healthy team in order to get to that division title.
So, Steve, what are your thoughts on the potential of the preseason being limited, the practice time being down? Do you think that the Jets are going to have to give like 3 or 4 weeks to get on the same page, or how much time are you going to give them to just get together and gel?
It's just if we're talking about like the whole offense, I would give them like two to 3 weeks. I give them 2 to 3 weeks. Like let's say if there's going to be no preseason and like no training camp, I mean, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not going to go out of there and say like what Jay and Panda said. Like one of them said 4 to 5, the other one said 8 to 9. Because if it was like one of those kind of weeks with the offense, we would be in trouble.
So then, would you buy into the notion that this team could start out slow, similar to last year, and then end strong?
I'm not saying that could happen. I mean, that's always a 50-50 chance that could happen. I want them to start strong, but it would be pretty bad if they would start like slow, like how they did last year. With 1-7, ending 6-2 last year. Finishing 7-9, because you can't have those kind of slow starts. You can't.
Okay. So then, when you look at the AFC East, you have Cam Newton. How would you rank the quarterbacks in the AFC East? And how would you rank the supporting cast? Like, what quarterback do you think is in the best position to succeed?
And when I'm looking at the teams, I mean, here's the thing. I would have to put Buffalo first because, listen, I still think Josh Allen is a very, very inaccurate quarterback. But the one thing that helps Josh Allen is that he does have the better team, unfortunately. So I think the Bills are number one. I know everyone. You know what? I'm actually going to say I'm going to take a risk. You guys can call me crazy. I think our team is second. I pick New England third, and I pick Buffalo fourth. Miami fourth.
So wait, Kevin, what do you think?
Miami fourth on supporting cast?
Well, I mean, because the thing is, listen, Miami, yes, they definitely did make some They did improve towards the end of the season, but they got a rookie quarterback going into the season.
Yeah, but I mean, like the supporting cast as far as receivers go, I mean, I think the Dolphins, I mean, they're a young team, but I think they have some weapons to work with. I feel like for the Jets, though, that conversation could change if you have guys like Mims or, if Herndon can stay healthy and stay on the field. I think that could really change the conversation for the Jets where, not only do you have those guys, but you have Crowder. You can maybe maximize Bell a little bit more. I think the Jets, if those two guys could actually, again, stay healthy and stay on the field and, live up to the hype and the athletic ability that they have, I think that could really change the dynamic as far as, supporting cast.
Yeah, it's just the way how it also has to also be on the outlook of this season is how Adam Gase coaches this team. It's just, listen, I'm going to say this right now. Unfortunately, because you guys were going over the, coaching ranking of our division, I mean, unfortunately, where we are at right now, we're at the bottom with our coaching. It's just Adam Gase has to prove himself this year to be better than he was last year. Because if he's not, then he's definitely going to be out the door by the end of 2020.
So what's your measuring stick for Adam Gase? Is it wins? Is it Darnold stats? I mean, how do you evaluate success for Adam Gase this year?
So the way of how I do that, how I look at it, it's like how he does well with Darnold this year.
So what do you need to see?
Sam plays well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's got it. The way of how I see this is that hopefully the offensive line with this new O line that we have. I mean, we definitely made improvements on that. Got to have better protection for Sam. Sam's got to be accurate with his throws, and Adam Gase has to do the right coaching calls. And if Adam Gase does all that, and including on getting the wins, then yes, he deserves to stay. If not, he'll be out the door.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but okay. Okay, Kevin. I was gonna say, I'm trying to be nice, man. It's like a holiday's coming out, the weekend, holiday weekend. I'm trying to be nice and friendly because everybody calls me mean. So I'm trying to be nice to Steve tonight.
I was going to shift to the Jamal Adams discussion just to hear Steve's take on just everything that's gone on the past week, some of the comments from Greg Williams, and then you have some players like Alex Lewis that are speaking up for Adam Gase. So, just what are your thoughts on the entire situation and, potential divide in the locker room and, whether or not Jamal Adams is actually upset at Adam Gase? What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I mean, when I listened to Adam Gase's calls, I think a few days ago was when he did it. He definitely was very thoughtful on Jamal, saying, I want him to be here. And Greg Williams said the same thing. The biggest thing that Greg Williams says, I have Jamal Adams' back. It's just, they actually handled it really well, with the New York media. It's just the way of how I see this is that it's just Jamal Adams just being immature. It's so hard, like listening to all these tweets, that Jamal Adams did, and especially the tweet that he said to Cam Newton of him signing with the Patriots on Sunday. I think they both handled it really, really well, and spoke with the media. But now the next thing that needs to happen is that I can't wait for when Joe Douglas has something to say about it.
So if you woke up tomorrow and Jamal Adams got a 2-year extension for, say, $17 million a year, what would your reaction be?
You know what? Good for him. Now he just has to stop how he's acting like on Twitter. Just recently before your show started tonight, he said on Twitter, I miss playing ball. And, the thing is, like, if you really miss playing ball, are you either going to come back with us or are we going to trade you? I'm like thinking to myself, are you going to really do that? And it's just, it's just crazy.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the Jets are going to call his bluff and say, you know what, we're reporting. You're going to report. We're not trading you because I'm not getting the value they want. Either you sit here and you practice and do your stuff or you get fined. Unless he has like a mysterious injury. But I think he's going to be there, dude. I think they're going to call his bluff.
Yeah, no, I think, Tyson, I think the same thing's going to happen too. It's just my worst fear is that if, let's say, Jamal comes to camp and if no extension happens, then my worst fear is that this would be another locker room drama year. And it's just the thing is, like, I hate it when it happens. I don't want it to be like it happened, back in 2011 and in 2016 with the team. It's just I'm tired of having locker room drama with the Jets.
So isn't the job of a good head coach to, like, establish a good culture and, get rid of locker room drama? So I'm saying part of the evaluation of Adam Gase, like you mentioned before, like was just Darnold. I think that the locker room and getting players to kind of buy into his program and his system, whatever that is, I think that is a huge part of the overall evaluation also.
No, I believe it is too. I mean, and listen, I'm not an Adam Gase type of person, but I hope that he does something. I hope that he does something like this.
Yeah, I think once, like, it's all fun and games now on social media because nobody's in a locker room, nobody's in a facility, stuff like that. Once he reports, I think everything changes. And they as an organization, they can take a firm stand. Listen, you tell the entire team you're not commenting on player contracts. You just give a mandate, and that's it. Like, other teams have done it. Belichick does it. The Ravens sometimes do it. Or listen, you silence certain topics, and that's the team's right to do that. To not have distractions because they have enough. They have enough on their plate as it is, trying to rebuild and get all these guys on the same page.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Like when Jamal reports at the camp, he just has to stop like how he's been acting like on social media and all that. And basically he's here to do a job. Now Tyson, the other thing I wanted to get a chance to talk to you about, I'm forgetting to actually ask you about this through Twitter, but what are your thoughts on Sam taking most of the players on the offensive side of the ball down to Florida and doing workouts? What are your thoughts on that?
I have no problem with it at all. I mean, I know that it's so funny they're giving like Tom Brady a hard time, like players shouldn't be getting together, this and that. This is what they do, man. Like, listen, it's the nature of the beast. The players, they're not going to be quarantined all by themselves in that practice. I have no problem with Sam Darnold doing it. That's probably not politically correct to say, but I really don't give a shit. I just think that's what they do, man. Like, you got to do it, especially now. Like, Sam is a leader, as a quarterback, knowing that there's going to be limited practices. They may not have a preseason, all these things. He's got to find ways to get on the same page as these guys as fast as possible, especially after, last year was all kinds of doubt. You have new receivers. Who knows? Gase could be making changes to the offense. Maybe he's going to try working new plays. Like, listen, it's just they're competitors. It's a business. It's their job. I don't necessarily have a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
You're hoping that they're safe and they're responsible and stuff like that. But I mean, what do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, but also don't before you guys say anything, don't forget about Bell too. The way how Le'Veon Bell has also been like being supportive with Sam and throughout the whole virtual workouts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't get. Oh,
no boy.
The dog.
Here comes reinforcements.
Wait, what do we got? I think the dog agrees also that Sam's doing a good thing here. He's trying to get his teammates on the same page. That's what your job is as a quarterback. You're the voice that everybody listens to, and I think it's time that Sam starts to kind of mature into that role. I remember a few shows ago, like where we were talking about can kind of Sam overcome the potential shortcomings of Gase. And I think that'll be something interesting to watch this year also. If there are certain plays that are called and, Sam just has a chemistry with the receiver and he can make a quick check down with, an eye look or something like that. Just having those little tendencies that, you're on the same page with your receivers, that can make a huge difference on game day. So I would love to see Sam be able to make that step, this year.
Yeah, no. And the thing is that a lot of people are also the other thing that drives me nuts is how some of the analysis always say crap about Sam, with the fact that in his first 2 years he hasn't really had good teams and all that stuff. But it's just the thing is we always just gotta hope each year that Sam gets better. It's just.
Yeah.
But I mean, he takes it. He actually, talks about how he always wants to improve a lot, and I mean, he takes it well. You always got to give him credit, Kevin.
No, listen, Sam. He says all the right things. He does all the right things off the field. Quiet leader. He's just everything you want in a quarterback. I think at this point, it's just a matter of can the organization surround him with enough talent to speed up the process of him becoming that guy. I think it's only a matter of time before, he's looked at in that conversation of, top 10 quarterbacks. I think it's just a matter of time, again, before, the organization does the right things, puts the right coach and pieces around him. And again, maybe it is Gase. Time will tell. But, I think once Sam does have all those things around him, I don't even think it'll be a question that, he's among the best quarterbacks in football. And I'm not even saying that just as a Jet fan.
Yeah, no. I'm not gonna say it too. I mean, this is year 3 for him. We always got to see what happens, man. One day, 1 week at a time.
Steve, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
You guys too. Have a good, happy 4th of July. Okay.
You too, man.
You too, man. Good talking to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
See, now, Kevin, I want credit, man, because I'm on my best behavior tonight. I'm not saying a thing. I'm not antagonizing nobody.
I was waiting. I didn't understand what was going on. I was sitting back. I was trying to be quiet. I'm like, all right, he's going to go in on this top. No. I was like, all right, nope.
I'm letting you just deal with the callers and work with Steve. But now this one, I'm not going to guarantee.
Then I'll start going in, and then Steve's in trouble without anybody to get his back. Oh, he's going to be in trouble. But for now, we'll let him have some fun.
I'm just letting you get into your groove right now. I'm letting you get back into the flow of things, and we're going to bring on this one. I guarantee is going to be chaos. Mr. Justin, what's up, man?
Oh, what's going on?
What's up, Justin? How you
tell
doing,
me, man?
I don't know. Every time I mention this guy Adams, it just gets me more aggravated. This guy is a clown.
So you're mad at him and not the Jets organization at all?
Dude, Kevin, let's just call it what it is. The guy doesn't want to be a Jet. It's not about contract anymore. The guy doesn't want to be a Jet. So options
why do you think he doesn't? Why do you think he doesn't want to be a Jet? Like, let's break it down. Why doesn't he want to be a Jet?
I mean, it's a combination of things. It could be the contract that's definitely part of it, which I definitely agree he deserves to be paid. So I think if they said, all right, give me $16 million, and I wouldn't do it if they said give him $16 million tomorrow and all the problems go away. But I mean, it's definitely the problem. He definitely doesn't like Gase. He's definitely sick of losing. So I mean, I think he's just sick of losing. I think that's what it comes down to.
All right, so he's sick of losing. He doesn't trust ownership, doesn't trust Gase.
Doesn't believe in the plan.
Okay, doesn't believe in the plan. The contract, he probably hasn't heard from them at all. So, knowing all of those factors, that's why, again, I'll for the millionth time, Jamal is wrong for his handling of it. But him being mad at the organization and wanting out, I think that's just more the Jets not looking at themselves and their own actions and saying, hey, your actions have consequences. And when you don't surround your player with the right kind of environment, this is what happens. Players want to leave. They don't want to play for you if they don't enjoy coming to work every day. That's the consequence.
I do definitely agree with you to a certain extent. I'm not blaming it all on him. I definitely do see your aspect of it, but the guy is under contract for 3 more years. He's even saying himself, Cromartie and these guys are saying let the business side, but then again they're saying, oh, the guy wants to get paid. So, I mean, guys like Cromartie coming out, I mean, we do have issues of guys getting paid, but the guy is, when push comes to shove, he's still under contract for 3 years. Guys like Khalil Mack at premium positions, pass rushing, that it's not a premium position. I get it. The guy plays linebacker, inside linebacker, rusher, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, the guy doesn't play a premium position, and he's under contract for 3 more years.
Yeah, but I mean, running back also isn't considered a premium position anymore, and Christian McCaffrey from the same draft class just got paid. So, of course, Jamal Adams, whether right or wrong, he's, him and his camp, they're going to use that contract as well as, J.J. Watt, Patrick Peterson, Tyron Smith, like all those other guys that got paid after 3 years. I think there's 17 players since the new CBA got signed. Jamal Adams' camp is going to say, hey, we think he's in that same caliber of player. Why doesn't he deserve to get paid when those guys got paid? And from the Jets side, they're of course going to use the examples that you just used, like Khalil Mack and other guys that didn't get paid after 3 years.
But with that, there's 17 guys you just named that got extensions. There's 17 that you can name to not get extensions too. So I mean, it kind of goes both ways with that.
And so that's why the Jets have to evaluate this from their own organization and say how valuable is Jamal Adams to us. And I would say when you just look around the roster at the lack of talent that we've had over the last decade, I would say Jamal Adams should be considered pretty valuable, and you should want to do everything in your power as an organization to keep a player like that. And so when you hear things about like the lack of communication, not hearing back on his first proposal, going to the media and saying we want to make him a Jet for life and we'll catch up after the draft, and it still doesn't seem like there's been talks, that's why I can't go all in ripping Jamal yet until I know all of what led to him deciding to take this stance.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think there's more to the story that we don't know too. Do we know if what if they said, oh, we're going to talk after the draft? But guess what? Then the pandemic hit. Did they mean after the draft when OTAs were going to happen? Did they mean training camp? See, we don't know that side of it, where what did after the draft mean? We don't really know what that meant. Did it mean during OTAs? Does it mean during training camp? Did it mean during preseason? I mean, those specifics, I think they're going to come out sooner or later with Jamal and his camp. So, I mean, those specifics we don't really know, so it's hard really to tell.
I mean, you would think that Joe Douglas is smart enough to know that the New York media and the fan base, when you hear the words, we'll catch up after the draft, we're not going to forget that, and we'll assume that, hey, it's not, 4 months after the draft when training camp's starting, it would be some point shortly after the draft. And I'm sure you saw the Cimini article, which said, the Jets pretty much had their minds made up that they weren't going to engage in contract talks or give Adams an extension, even before all the coronavirus stuff started. So that, that really shouldn't be a cop-out for the Jets, not wanting to pay him.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I think there's definitely more to the story that we're missing. But I mean, the guys. Yeah, I think these are what the choices are now. Do we accept less trade value and just get rid of the cancer in the locker room? I think the locker room may have a bigger effect. I think Tyson and me are in agreement where the locker room seems to be the trouble going to cause a lot of issues too, because now you got guys like Marcus May, where we wanted to, walk him out of the door, and now what Marcus May is probably saying, you know what? Why should I come back? They're not paying, Jamal, so maybe I'll just leave after this year, after my contract's up. So I think there's going to be a trickle down in the locker room.
No, dude,
Justin's
I
breathing fire right now.
No, this is good, man. No, because I completely agree. I see the same thing potentially happening if this situation doesn't get resolved, where you have some guys that side with Team Jamal, that see the value that he's brought to the team over the last couple of years, and that think he deserves to get paid, and that are eventually going to want to get paid themselves. And the other side that they're going to side with Gase, and they think maybe he's going to be here long term, and they're just going to buy into to what he's selling. And obviously we've seen in the past that usually doesn't turn out too well.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Gase is definitely a factor, but to blame this whole situation on Gase, I think that's a little. I think everyone just wants to blame it on Gase. I think Gase is like probably fourth or fifth in when you put in the factors. I don't think it's a majority on Gase. I think that's a little bit over the top with some people.
No, I completely agree with that. I think Gase is a factor, but he's not the entire factor. And I think for Jamal, being a guy that wants to win, I think that, he looks at Gase as not really being a guy that's going to get him, to that place that he wants to get to as a football player, winning games and, being in big games, and, he's a Jordan guy. So, he expects to kind of be in that conversation. And so, yeah, if he doesn't have any trust in Adam Gase, I think that is a big part of the problem. But when you factor in also the fact that it's been 3 years of losing, we don't know his relationship with the owner, how that is. And everything that's gone on, like just with the media, and there's a lot of factors that I think play into this. And, if he's not happy, I think all of it combined, he just might feel like, hey, I just need a fresh change. And hopefully, I said this earlier, it would be really awesome if somehow Douglas and Gase can kind of, find some middle ground. If there's any left to still be had, I don't know if there is, but, get this guy back into camp, when things start up, and just get on the same page and, give him the contract that he deserves, or at least, communicate that, hey, it's coming, and, hopefully things can be mended. But, I think that at this point, things have just, escalated too far where, it's just going to probably end up being the trade once they get the right value.
What is the least compensation that you would take from?
I said earlier that it's got to be at least, the first and the third that you turn down, because then, you come away looking pretty bad. And even that, I mean, I would hope that they can get more than that. You obviously turned that down, last year for a reason. So, I would think a minimum, first and a second probably, maybe a player as well, since, you lost out on the opportunity to get somebody to help you this season.
Oh, my God. I hate to say it, but I think his trade value, the more he talks, I think it's just going down, 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 down. So, I mean, a first, a second, and a player, I'd be doing cartwheels. I'll drive him to the airport for that. I mean, I think that the compensation is just going to – I think teams are just going to lowball, and he's just going to say, I want to go to Dallas or wherever else. All right, well, you know what? Just go to the bench then. I don't know about that.
If teams are lowballing you, you don't just accept, less than value contract or trade. You don't do that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that from that standpoint, they would absolutely drag it out as long as possible until they get the value that they, think he's worth. And then, then it becomes, ball in Jamal's court. What is he going to do? Does he call the Jets bluff? Does he show up to camp? I don't really know how Jamal is planning on, continuing this.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now we have all the leverage, but I think if that is definitely going to play into this is Myles Garrett. I think if he doesn't sign that contract, we have more leverage. But the second Myles Garrett signs that dotted line, I think that's going to give him maybe a little bit more leverage. Yeah, I mean, I think the McCaffrey deal, that one gave Jamal plenty of leverage because that was a draft pick that was picked ahead of him. I know it's an offensive player, but, I mean, you'd have one guy on offense now, one guy on defense, one picked in front of Jamal, one picked behind Jamal. So, of course, his agents are going to say, what, you guys don't think that he's in that same realm of player, that he's not an all-pro like those guys are? So, I mean, that's kind of where things are going to get to. Yeah, I think we just need to wait this one out. I think it's just we just need to just stay calm and just see what happens. I mean, we're 4 weeks away from what supposedly is training camp. So I think this is just, news for just let the news rate and just Joe Douglas brush it off, and then we'll just see if he can heal it or whatnot.
If there's no football season, this could be the news for the next year. Every week,
yeah,
just Jamal Adams
God.
social media tweets.
Yeah. Jesus
God
Christ, I
help us.
can't already see. Yeah, me and Tyson said the same thing. Oh, my God. Can't even tell already. But
Justin, thanks for calling, man. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Oh, wait, Justin, hold on. Oh, you want to go a different topic? I was asking about Cam Newton. We got him all caught up in the Jamal Adams thing.
Too late.
So, Kevin, quick question for you. Since we covered a lot of things, and you're just killing the caller, so I'm going to give you some scenarios. Which is the best scenario in terms of young quarterbacks and their supporting cast? So you got Kyler Murray, who's got DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds. Not too bad, right?
Okay.
Then you got Josh Allen's got Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Beasley, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. Not bad, right?
I already know where you're going with this.
Baker Mayfield's got Beckham, Landry, Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, David Njoku, and Austin Hooper. Not too bad, right? Daniel Jones, Barkley, Evan Ingram, Darius Slay, who's coming on, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate. Not terrible. Drew Lock. It's not if they all stay healthy, they're not bad. Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Young Drew Lock. Jerry Jeudy, KG Hamler, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman.
Oof.
Not terrible. Then you got Lamar Jackson.
That's very good.
Lamar Jackson's a very different kind of offense. Marquise Brown, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle. All those that I just mentioned, I think, are all pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
All young quarterbacks. There's all your supporting cast. Compare those to what the Jets have, and where would you rank the Jets?
I mean, it's not even comparable where the Jets – I mean, listen, I think Le'Veon Bell, if used the right way, could change the conversation a little bit. Just, you look at the impact that he had in the Steelers' offense. I would love to see just even, 80% of that in the Jets' offense. That would be huge. That would be a big start because that would open up a lot of other things. You have speed with Perriman and Mims. We don't know exactly what they could do in this offense or what Mims is going to be altogether, but both those guys are, sub 4.4 speed. So at the very least, you hope that they could stretch the field. And then from there, Crowder and Herndon underneath, I think those guys can definitely make some plays for you. So obviously you don't have, I think the elite game changers that a lot of those other guys, those other teams have, or just a well-rounded group that's proven like those teams have. But certainly if Mims, especially if he steps up, and proves to be that receiver that we need, I think that could change the conversation as well. But yeah, right now, I mean, it's not even a question. The Jets are at the bottom, but I also think coaching has a lot to do with it too. I think that if you put Sam Darnold on a lot of those teams, those teams are still playoff teams. And if you put a lot of those quarterbacks on the Jets are still not a playoff team, So I think it's hard to really evaluate.
Yeah, but I think if you rank them all and you look at where those young quarterbacks are, their supporting cast and their coaching staff, as opposed to the Jets, I don't think it's close. I think Sam Darnold's got so much more challenges than those young quarterbacks. Especially look at Drew Lock, man. Look at what he's surrounded by. I mean, it's just like we're hoping, we're piecing together things. You got to hope Mims pans out, Crowder's good, Herndon stays healthy, Le'Veon Bell, they can maximize. Like the Jets are like a bunch of ifs. That's what I hate.
Yep.
If this, then Sam can flourish. You look at these other teams, and these are all these other teams. You could see the talent and what they have. You're like, all right, well, this, Cortland Sutton's a phenomenal athlete. The Melvin Gordon. I mean, it's just like, man. Like you try to, I see all these arguments about Sam Darnold, and I hate them because he's so talented. He has so much potential, and you look at the situation, and you're like, you know what? There's a good chance it's gonna be another one of those years where we're gonna be like, you know what? A building block for next year, and it's like we're behind. Like the Jets are like a year behind these other teams, if not more, in terms of development process and supporting him. And it drives me insane.
But what the Jets really need to do, they need to run their race and focus on themselves and not what other teams are doing, because you have a quarterback that's 23 years old right now. The goal, obviously, is that Sam Darnold's going to be a Jet for life. So you should be looking at getting Sam to that level. Obviously it would be ideal if he got there, this year. But, if he's 26 years old playing at an elite level and you have him for the next 10 years playing at that level, nobody's going to complain. So even if it's baby steps, as impatient as we tend to be, I'm fine with it. But again, so many things go into allowing him to take those steps. The head coach especially, because, the Bills last year, they didn't have a ton of talent. Beasley as, I think their top receiver. I mean, they didn't have a ton to work with, but their coaching staff and their offensive line and their system, they made it work for Allen. And so what can Gase do to make it work for Sam? How can he make Sam's life easier? How can he maximize Le'Veon Bell? Like all these things, this is what we need to see for Sam to take the step quicker. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be a lot of baby steps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, some good games, some bad games, some amazing throws, some questionable decisions. I think it's going to be a lot of that, and I don't put it all on Sam because I don't think he has the supporting cast that those other quarterbacks have.
Yeah, and that's my concern. Like, it's why I buy in sometimes. And I'm like, I got to temper my expectations because my fan, there's so much that's going to happen early on in the season. And if he can overcome it, great. But if he doesn't, we could see a lot of what we saw last year. And then it's like, all right, the first 8 games are kind of a wash, and then the last 6 games, it's like, oh, here we go again. And it can happen. Like we gotta hope Mims takes off. We gotta hope Herndon stays healthy. Like and then you see the other teams. Josh Allen is, and I like Josh Allen. I don't hate him like everybody else does. And like you looked at, like he took a big step last year. If he becomes a little more accurate and they added more playmakers, it's like, dude, he's in a chance to win football games. That's the most important thing. And it drives me insane. Like the last thing that I want to see, if Daniel Jones flourishes this year and Sam Darnold doesn't, I'm going to go off the deep end, dude. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. I swear to God.
Especially with a first-year head coach, too, because that would throw the narrative out the window for Gase, not having enough time to get the team ready this year.
I mean, that's like when all these arguments come up and people are always asking, like, oh, Darnold this, Darnold that. And I'm like, look at Darnold compared to everybody else. Like, you can see in our own division. Like, look at what Josh Allen's doing. And you look at Tua down in Miami, how they're trying to help him. Like you can see what their blueprint is. And now Joe Douglas this was his first year doing it. And next year he's got to take a huge leap in terms of putting guys around him. And you have to hope Mims pays out. And that's why they should have signed somebody else. I still hope that somebody shakes free during whatever training camp they have and they can get somebody else. But it's not ideal, man. And it's not making excuses for Gase. I think this is just, a fair assessment is this. They could use more talent on offense. There's more pressure on him to get the talent they have, maximize it. But I'm still concerned. And I just hope that Sam can do whatever he can to get over it. And that's why him doing all these passing camps is a good thing. And I understand the virus is serious and there's health risk. You got to hope they're doing the right thing and whatever they can to be safer and wash their hands and everything else, but sometimes it's necessary, man. This is their job. You know what I mean? That's why Brady's doing it. They all want to get the step ahead because they need to, because they know what's ahead of them.
No, I completely agree. It's Sam stepping up, trying to be a leader, doing the right thing, and as long as they're being responsible with it, and there's been no reports that they haven't, I don't see what the issue is. So yeah.
So we'll see. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, because it's fascinating to see where they stand, what we think of as fans, and how we compare things. Because it's not, in many cases, it's not apples to apples. It's apples and oranges in terms of supporting cast around them.
No, definitely. And, hopefully, things being so difficult for Sam early on, if or when he eventually gets those pieces, the offensive line, gels a little bit, and, whether it's Mims or somebody else at receiver, hopefully, that'll just make his life that much easier. Him not having to, fit passes into small windows because receivers aren't getting separation, having guys that can, dominate a corner and get open, and, a coach that can maximize players, like all that stuff. Hopefully, that's not far away for him, because then I think we'll really see him take off.
Well, another month away in theory. But do you think this is all going to start on time? Do you think training camp's going to start on time, and all this? Or they're going to wait to see how basketball and baseball do and kind of judge it from there?
Yeah, I'm hopeful, but I'm skeptical. I think a lot of it really does depend on how the other sports do. If those sports are able to at least get by. I understand probably some players and coaches and staff will end up coming down with it, but as long as there's nothing serious going on and majority of the players are staying healthy, and I think hopefully we'll have training camp and we'll have football on time, God willing.
Yeah, it's interesting because slowly but surely there's players are coming out kind of saying, like Malcolm Jenkins was the first one to say it, where he's kind of concerned about the health issues out there and their safety, stuff like that. I think we'll see. I just think there's a lot more concerns. I talked to Rob Carpenter about it a lot too, and he's like, listen, there are so many things you got to worry about where if that virus hits a position group, then what do you do? I can make a very good case right now the Jets should sign to the quarterback. Because if Flacco's not ready week 1, and God forbid Sam gets a COVID-19, then what? You're going to play a rookie? You're going to play fails? Like, I'd sign the quarterback, dude. I would, if Flacco can't play for the first 2 weeks, you need somebody else. Like, I would take every precaution known. And I think the roster sizes should be bigger. I think a lot of things should change to help this season go along.
That was something I was just going to bring up, especially at the quarterback position. You got to wonder if teams or if the NFL would, allow teams to be able to have, at least one extra quarterback, suited on game day as well as, practicing throughout the week every week, just in case something like that happens, because that's the one position you really just can't, plug in and play really. Otherwise, I think it's just going to be a week-to-week thing, and, teams are going to have to, monitor as they go.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out. You just got to hope that baseball and basketball get it figured out and give a good setup. Like the UFC does a lot of really good things, but it's such a small group of people that they can manage 25 people. And the NFL is 90 guys on each line, and it's going to be interesting. So primetime, give out information, man. Give out where everybody can watch your YouTube videos. They can follow you. Give out all your stuff.
Yeah, so on YouTube, it's at Talk Jets Radio. I try to do as many videos as possible. Definitely slacked off recently. But trying to get back into it. Also at Talk Jets Radio on Instagram. Personal Twitter account is KS1988NYJ if you guys want to chat there. And look forward to being back every Tuesday and getting into it this year.
I will talk to you next Tuesday, and enjoy your holiday weekend, man.
You too, man. Enjoy.
Talk to you later. At Talk Jets Radio on YouTube. Talk to you next Tuesday.